Remember, there's some pretty important information here in the disclaimer. You might want to give the video a quick pause and read it.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog! Just here to remind you that if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. And for even more amazing customs, don't forget to subscribe to Wake Angel 2001! Because between you and me, they're way past cool!
Hello out there, this is Wake Angel 2001 coming at you with a commission for Gone Wild Gaming. It is Sash Lilac from Freedom Planet. I've really been looking forward to this one because it gives me an excuse to talk about Freedom Planet, a game that I love. Okay, let me try to put this into context. In this post-Mania world, we kind of take things a little bit for granted, but there was a time when the community was really thirsty for a new sprite, a new sprite-based Sonic game. I think when Freedom Planet came out, the last one was I think it was like Sonic Advance 3 on the Game Boy Advance. Like, it's not like we didn't have any side scrollers, because we had the Rush games, we had Sonic Colors, we had Sonic Generations, but, all those games use, like, modern 3D models. Although I think the Rush games and the DS version of Colors had, like, sprite work in the backgrounds, but, like, the character models themselves, like, they all use, like, the modern models, and it just didn't have that nice 16-bit feel, So along came the developers at Freedom Planet, who went ahead and made basically a Sonic game. Like, it's not a complete knockoff of a Sonic game. It does have its own unique things. Like, first of all, the game actually had a pretty involved story. It was well voice acted. The characters in it were all pretty cool, and there were elements of the gameplay that made it distinct from Sonic without really making it feel like like it was departing too much. Like, it hit a sweet spot. It was familiar to the formula, but also it had its own voice. I think there was just a tiny bit of Ristar in there, too. Like, but, like, Ristar was also made by Sonic Team, so that, it still kind of fits in. But yeah, like, I personally had the game on the Wii U as a virtual downloaded game, and I heard talk that they were going to do a sequel, but it's been quite some time. I hope that that's still going to happen eventually. But anyway, I'm going to make the main characters from this game, and we're starting with Lilac the Dragon, because, this cute little fluffy, short-horn pigtail girl is a dragon. I kind of thought she was a goat the first time I saw her, because, like, those look like goat horns coming out the top of her head, but no, she's a dragon. Sure, we'll go with that. Okay, now, because this game is, done with sprites, there's no 3D models to rip, so Lilac's head is fan-made. This one is specifically made by someone named Yellow Drill. Yellow Drill. And you could find the model on modelsresource.com. But the version of the model that he has was surprisingly low poly. I admit this might be due to my conversion, because I had to take it into another program to make it into an STL so I could print it. And it came out kind of low poly, almost looks like an N64 model, or maybe an early Dreamcast model if I'm being generous. So I sent the model to Corey, my usual model guy, and he was able to smooth it out so that when I printed it, it actually looked like something physical and not just like a digital creation. Now, here's an interesting lesson on optical effects. Because, as you can see here, I've already painted Lilac's muzzle and in between her eyes. Now, take a good look at this color, because this is lilac paint. But now, take a look at this. Yeah, now that the head is done painting, her face looks so much lighter, doesn't it? Well, no, that's the exact same shade of lilac. I just put a slightly darker lilac shade around it to be her hair, and because now it's contrasted against something darker, it makes the paint on her face look lighter by comparison. Isn't that fascinating? This is one of those cool optical effects, like when someone takes the gray square and they put it on a black sheet of paper and it looks white, but then as they slide it over to a white sheet of paper, it all of a sudden looks darker. That's kind of what happened here, and I just kind of dig that. Okay, so that was the head, which was a 3D creation, but we also need, like the body. And if you want a 4-inch scaled Sash Lilac body, something that might theoretically be able to blend in with Jakks Pacific Sonic figures, of course you're gonna go with Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys Targaryen. I really do not care for Game of Thrones. I basically kept up with the series, but it's not like I was ever a fan of it. But oh my, are you an incredibly useful figure. I mean, how many characters have I used Daenerys as a base for? At least 3 so far. And the figure's just so easy to dismantle. Like, the only thing that don't come apart are her knee joints, which, it's fine. Although, I did have to fix the knee joints a little bit because despite the fact that they're not meant to come apart, they sometimes disarticulate anyway because, I don't know, maybe the plastic tolerances are just too tight on them. But anyway, I did take the hair off of her head because I thought at one point that I was going to have to sculpt Lilac's head, but fortunately I was able to find that model. So let's start this from the ground up. The boots, as you can see, are... from the 3D print that I made before, are actually silvers, just, cut off at the right spot so that they don't make the figure too tall, and then naturally blended onto her legs. I cut off enough of Daenerys' feet so they could turn into spikes that would go down into the boots, but it would preserve the ankle swivel, so, for the usefulness in standing that being able to rotate her feet as they would accomplish, that's perfectly still there. I also printed out I didn't print it out, I sculpted the little wing things that she has on her ankles. Now, Corey, when he converted that head for me, he also converted the boots into a printable format for me, which, Corey, I am thankful for that, but ultimately I chose to go with the silver boots, partially because I already had them printed before I discovered the model for Sash, but also because, I just found it would be easier to integrate this into her leg rather than Sash's entire boot, which had boot tops and everything that I would have to try and get around. It just seemed simpler for me to do in this instance. And as for the arms, you may recognize that those aren't Daenerys' hands. I cut off the wrist pegs from Daenerys' hands so that they would still be able to work with the arm, but those are Froppy's hands. They're a pair that I had left over when I converted a Froppy figure into Rouge. So, since Sash Lilac is kind of like a pseudo-Sonic-styled character, the funny thing, there actually is a character named Pseudo-Sonic, so kind of shot myself in the foot there. But yeah, she's a pseudo-styled Sonic character, so, so her hands are, of course, proportionately larger. Fortunately, thanks to Froppy's proportionally larger hands, this works out just fine. Just a little bit of sculpt on the forearms to be the, the back ends of her gloves. Then her torso is actually the perfect shape as Daenerys Targaryen. I did not need to do any additional sculpt. There's no need for a boob job, no need to enhance bust. The only thing I needed to add was her tail, which is a short little tail, and a belt, which is made out of craft foam. So that it's just easier to shape onto there. And, yeah, that's, you can see that she still has the gigantic ball joint that Daenerys' head used, but, I really only left it on up to this point so that it could be something for me to hold while painting it. After the figure was completely painted, I used an X-Acto knife to cut this ball off, leaving just a little tiny lip around the top of her neck so that it could serve as a pseudo-mushroom peg when I drilled a hole into that 3D printed head and shoved it in. So, with that being said, here is Sash Lilac, the action figure. And she is so adorable. I kind of don't want to give her away because because I really do love this character, and I've been wanting to make a Sash Lilac figure for years, and like it's so cool looking. I mean, it was such a hard hassle printing out this head, and I got a response from Monoprice tech support. They're gonna have to replace my printer because apparently whatever error it had was unserviceable. So so yeah, I'm gonna have to get a replacement printer. I don't know how long that's gonna take, but I don't worry, guys. I was able to print out quite a few models before, so I should hopefully be able to finish several customs, and the new printer will arrive before I run out of those parts. So don't worry about that part. But yeah, like, I'm really sorry that I'm going to have to eventually part with her. I guess I can take some solace in the fact that I'm going to be able to keep her for at least a few weeks, because I still had to make Milla and Carol to go with her, because Gone Wild Gaming wanted all three. And yes, I am violating the rule of 2 that I apply by, but, you know, I did say that if the case was compelling enough, I could make exceptions, so... You know, making all 3 of the Freedom Planet girls is one of the things that'll make me make an exception. You know, but don't go counting on this to be like a regular thing, because like I still have a huge backlog to get through, and I am going to try and commit to getting through it. So thank you all for watching the video. I hope you guys like Freedom Planet as much as I do, and this is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.